This conference will now be recorded.
Janice, can you hear me? I have no sound if you can hear me.
Can you hear us now?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Oh, Tim, how about Dave?
Dave Firestone, can you hear us?
Volume on.
Okay.
Is it on speaker? There you go.
It should work fine.
Yeah.
On speaker.
All right. Can everyone hear us now?
Sounds like
Linda?
somebody's got a battery for a smoke detector in the background going off. I keep hearing that chirping. I thought it was my place at first, but I'm hearing somebody's battery.
Yeah. Can anyone else hear us?
Somebody said yes.
You just have them muted. Who's not muted? Bully's not muted. David, can you hear us? Yeah. Okay.
Dave, we can't hear you.
He doesn't have a mic on. All right, go ahead, Bruce. We're good. I'm going to turn my mic off. Turn your mic off.
And then I think the speaker sounds there.
All right, go ahead and see.
I'll turn on the audio.
Come on, get that. Somebody has a fight.
This conference will now be recorded.
Will you cut it out? It's not my fault.
Turn that. Yeah.
Hello? Hello?
Call them tomorrow and see what happens. All I can do.
Can anybody hear me?
I can hear you.
Good. I can't hear anybody else.
It seemed like the other device may have been causing some of the problems, but I'm not sure who else can hear each other now.
Right. Yeah, I was getting a lot of static and a lot of noise. My Surface the volume was all turned up on it. There wasn't any reason I wasn't able to hear anybody.
Okay, can you hear us now?
I can hear you, yes.
You got speaker?
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
My phone, so
Okay, you can go back, Ms. Pfeiffer, you can go back to your regular screen and shut your phone off. The issue is on our end.
oh, it
The
is.
microphone
Oh,
is, you can go back to the
okay.
computer.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. Okay.
Okay, everybody here. Mr. Firestein, can you hear us? Mr. Firestein, can you hear us? Okay. Ms. Pfeiffer, we have you? Ms. Pfeiffer, can you hear us?
We just heard her before.
But now it's on computer, it's on phone audio again.
Hers is.
Ours is, because David's here at Split, can't hear him again because our computer audio is turned off.
So should go to computer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's,
So do we just have to talk into the phone?
Can you hear me? Am I on there or no? I tried to call in. We all know.
the fire chicken.
This is pretty interesting. But I just sent another, some type of orbiting.
I think we gotta end this.
Want me to turn off this?
Just leave your computer.
But, all right, can you hear us?
Everyone should be able to hear you just like a normal.
Ms. Piper, can you hear us?
We can hear Linda, but she can't hear us.
I can hear you.
Thanks, Tim.
Ms.
All right.
Piper, how about Mr. Firestein? Can you hear us?
Or you can email.
He might not be there.
He is here.
Oh, there
David, you can hear us? Okay. David, give us a test count here so we can hear you.
All right.
We can't hear him. We can hear David. David, we cannot hear you.
Oh, Linda. That's all right. We can keep working on hearing them. We can still do for him. Linda, someone can just fill in.
David can call in.
They can call in. Have Linda call you, Bruce, on your phone.
Can Linda?
Have her call you on your phone.
Okay.
And then we can keep going.
Ms. Piper, can you hear us? Can you hear us?
No. She can't hear.
Okay.
We lost David.
This is all normal.
Linda, can you hear me?
Tim, I can
Or she
hear
can hear
you.
me on the other device.
Tim, are you on your phone?
I am on my computer, but I didn't turn the video on. Now, if I turn the video on, I'm not sure if that does anything to it. I'm on my laptop.
Okay.
Can you try it?
Linda's on it. Linda, you on a desktop?
Scott, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Now you can?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can hear
Okay.
you. What did you do?
I logged out and back in. I was starting to wonder because I was talking to Linda and Tim and neither of them could hear me either. So I figured it was not just your problem.
We got Tim again. All right, text Linda to tell her to log out and log back in.
Tim, can you hear me?
I don't have her phone number.
I can hear you.
Okay.
I can send Linda a chat.
Oh, it's recording.
Okay. Are you texting Linda?
Okay.
She's looks like she's picking up her phone. Were you calling her?
I just sent her a message and asked her if she can log out and log back in.
I guess
You did, Tim?
Sent her a chat.
Okay.
Yeah, well, she's not.
But if she is, I don't know. That's what I asked her to do. I'm not sure if she picked that up. I thought she did. She was looking at it, I think.
Is that based on productivity or?
All right, now she's doing it.
Okay, now she's out.
It is a rough crowd.
Can you hear me now?
We can. Can you hear us?
Oh my gosh, yes. It's
Okay.
magic.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
We have everybody we need, then, correct?
It's not getting recorded, or is it getting?
It says
Can
it
it? Okay.
Okay.
Well, it's not to take minutes then.
All right. Ms. Piper, we're not 100% sure that the recording is working properly for the minutes. However, We'll try and take some notes if you'd like to do the same.
Okay, very good. I can hear you faintly, but I can hear you.
It
Okay,
says it is recorded.
Okay, can you hear us now?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll reconvene the meeting, or we're always convened, but back to the Board of Trustees. Anything from the board other than we have an executive session with legal counsel to discuss pending litigation and employment and administration. Anything else, trustees?
Okay.
Hearing none. Ms. Piper,
Yes.
you have the floor.
Am I on?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. First of all, before we start, I would like to, when you guys make a motion, can you say like Dressler A and like Schulte was doing that one time? So it's easier for Michelle to make the motions when she does the minutes.
Yes, ma'am.
That would be great. And also we need resolution numbers before each resolution. So, all right, I'm starting out with a motion to approve an amendment to the Board of Trustees regular meeting minutes as of November 24th. I understand they're complete and waiting on review. Has anybody reviewed them?
We don't have them, ma'am.
Okay.
They were sent at 2:30 this afternoon by Michelle to Linda and myself. They weren't sent out to the Board of Trustees, Linda, so they were just sent to you and I.
Okay.
And the correction that was made there was not exactly correct, so we'll have to look at that again.
Okay, all right. Motion to, secondly, a motion to approve the amendment to the Board of Trustees regular meeting minutes as of December 7th, 2020.
Ma'am, we don't have those either.
Okay.
So those were also sent to you and I at 2:30 this afternoon, Linda, but that correction that needed to be made was not made on the ones that were sent to us.
Okay. I have on here, Michelle had written me complete waiting for review, so let me do a follow-up with her. Next is a motion to approve the Board of Trustees special meeting minutes of December 9th.
Did any of the meeting minutes? Ma'am, we have a list of motions here for meetings stemming from November 24th to date, and we don't have any of those minutes.
The only ones we have are from January 26th, which is the most recent one.
That is correct. That was the one that you were not in attendance for,
right,
the last meeting. And
I've not seen those.
Yes, they were sent out, I believe, February 1st.
Correct.
All right, you want to skip to that one then?
So Ms. Marshall
I
did.
believe I received a complete set. I know Beth had attempted, I thought she was going to do them. I was waiting for a complete draft on them, but I didn't get them.
They were emailed to you on February 1st.
There was only one set emailed out to you, and that was on February 1st, and it was a complete set.
Okay. All right, well, we'll shoot again for the next meeting. We've had some issues in fiscal with some sickness, so we'll try to get caught up. But what I would like to do is suggest, I'm all into transparency. I would suggest that the board put all of the virtual meetings on our website. It can be done. I've talked to Sue Mack, and it can be done. We link to YouTube, and people will be able to go and listen to the entire meeting. Minutes are very important, but it only gives an outline of what happened in the meeting. But I think it would be great if we could get those meetings, the virtual meetings on the website as soon as possible. This way they can see it. I reached out to Nancy Rosner, Copy Feed, told her to pass the word out. If anybody wants to receive a copy of these, or a copy of the virtual meetings, to please let me know, send me an email, and I'll get them out to them right away. So can we do that?
We already do that, ma'am. The meetings are recorded and can be viewed upon a request from any public member. However, it doesn't negate the issue we're having with minutes. The minutes are required, and we don't, are you still there, ma'am? Yeah, we don't have them from.
I'm here, Bruce. Yes.
Okay, we don't have them from November 24th on, other than the meeting you were not in attendance for.
Okay. Okay.
So those, again, these are recorded and it can be sent out. All we do is request by whoever wants them, and then they can be sent to them.
Okay, now we're talking minutes. I'm talking about the actual meeting needs to be on the website, where people the next day can go ahead and see what happened to the meeting before, the night before. They can actually see what we're doing right now.
Okay, we'll look into that. However,
Well, it can be done. It can be done, Bruce. And it's not being done.
ma'am, we can work on that. The recording is available. It doesn't negate the issue we're having with minutes. So what we're gonna do is make a motion. I'll make the motion to approve the January 26th meeting minutes.
Scott second.
Any discussion or corrections? Hearing none, I will call for the vote.
Scott votes yes.
Colner, yes.
Schulte abstain.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions?
I have a list of them if we can.
No doubt.
Do you have anything else for the board?
What was that?
Do you have anything else that you need to bring
Yes,
up?
I have. I received a notice from Summit County and also the state that Firehouse Tavern 2 has requested a liquor permit, and I guess I talked to Chief Meyer about it. He has no objection. They have no objection. So they're not going to call a hearing.
Well, it's for us to decide if we're going to ask for a hearing, correct? Are you stating the police chief's recommendation is for us not to request a hearing?
He's right here.
Okay.
Ask him.
So Chief Meyer is nodding to us. Chief, you want to speak?
I did check on the license application. I checked on the applicants. At this time, I haven't found anything that I would recommend that you hold a hearing on. They do have a business already in place in the Columbus area that's similar in nature, so everything appears to be okay. So I'm not recommending it.
Okay. Do we need a motion, or should we do a motion not to hold a hearing?
Yeah,
Okay.
we started here.
Okay, so I'll make a motion
To not request.
to not request a hearing for the liquor permit for the Firehouse Tavern. Is that the proper name?
Yes.
Dressler second.
Any discussion?
It's Firehouse 2, which I think is TOO Firehouse Tavern.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I would like to discuss this a little bit.
Go ahead.
We had a prior liquor permit that was issued to the gas station immediately adjacent to it. I'm fine with this enterprise going in here with the liquor permit and its proximity to middle school. But I think as a community, at some point, there's a limit on how many bars we want in the township.
There is a,
There was
Chief, there is a-
liquor permit there before.
yeah, and there is a, also, if I'm not mistaken, it's per capita or some other, so the liquor.
Various classifications. And some of the permits are limited according to population. We were maxed out at one time, and I think at the last census, when our population increased, then that opened up more permits.
Okay,
So there is some sort of limit then.
Yes.
okay.
There's also,
So if another party were to come in with another liquor permit in this general vicinity, I'm just curious where we stop. Would this board be in approval of that?
Case by
It's
case.
case by case.
I'm just taking,
Yeah, this board
just checking the
fought
temperature.
for 20 years, the gas station.
And also the types of permits. This is a D5, like a restaurant permit.
Right.
The gas station applied for their permits, which was carry out.
Mhm.
Then a couple of the other places down here applied for permits, which were carry out. So there's different classifications.
Right. Just,
If
I'm
you're-
just taking the temperature of the board.
If you're asking my opinion, I would not regulate what the alcohol board has already regulated. If they say there's 10 permitted for this area, I wouldn't say, my opinion, I wouldn't say, well, I'd rather have 8.
Okay.
I would not do that.
And I agree with that. I just wanted to take the poll.
No, I mean, we fought it for years. We finally lost, but the other, I just remember a comment, and I don't have anything in front of me. If they brew their own beer, they automatically get a permit. On premises.
Permit classification.
Yeah.
That did not come before us, I don't believe.
No.
Okay.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor to not have a hearing about the Firehouse Tavern 2 liquor permit. Any other discussion? All right, I'll call for the vote.
Rest of votes yes.
Colner, yes.
Schulte, yes.
Okay. Ms. Piper, do you have anything else for us?
Yeah, I do. We received and actually I need some guidance on this one. Last year, or about 2 years ago, Bruce, I prepared a public request for transparency, all-in transparency. It's a firm out of Miami that requested information. I prepared it according to the UAN. You know, we cannot manufacture records for a public request. So I prepared what I could and gave it to the board, and you had suggested it was incorrect. And so you appointed someone else to do the public request.
Yes, although that's a different company.
We have that same request come in, and I need your guidance on it. We cannot manufacture a record.
We understand that. However, this is a different company, and
It is what?
it's not the same person. Is it? It is. Okay,
It is the same company.
I apologize. The information that was submitted back then had the incorrect salaries for our employees on it.
That's exactly what they're asking for again this year.
They're asking for the incorrect salaries?
No, they're asking for the same format.
Okay.
So
I would, what are you asking the board for, ma'am?
well, I'm asking for your guidance on what to do. Do I just, since I can't manufacture a record for a public request, do I answer the public request? Or do I just send them, we cannot deny their public request? You tell me what I should do.
You have to, if they're asking, I believe, for salaries of our employees, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's public information. We cannot deny that.
Well, but UAN is not set up that way. It will give the total salary. And that's what I did the very first time that you denied it and assigned it to somebody else to do the public request.
No, well, just to be clear about that, the information, the salaries you placed in the spreadsheet were not the salaries the employees received. They weren't even close. And to fix that, you put an asterisk on there that said the salaries may not be accurate. However, salaries is public information. So it would be my opinion that we would send them the accurate salary information as requested.
Per year.
I'm sorry?
You've got OPERS, you've got OP&F, you've got everything in that figure. That's what makes it wrong.
Okay.
You have to separate it out. And I don't think it's right to manufacture that record.
Well, don't you already have that information? Don't you know how much each employee's retirement system was paid into? Each employee's overtime, each employee's sick time use? Don't you have that information?
I do, but then I'll be manufacturing the record.
Okay. Let me let Ms. Marshall interject, as she is familiar with UAN, and I am not. And she's the one who reproduced the record accurately the last time it was requested. So let Ms. Marshall jump in here.
So I would have to defer to legal counsel, but I believe the ruling on manufacturing a document is that you don't have to. I think what the law says is that you don't have to manufacture a document, but you do need to provide the information that's being requested in the public records request. So to that end, we did create a spreadsheet that had all of the accurate information, and we've done it the last 2 years. I believe it's sent to Open Books, and it's a spreadsheet that I have in my computer. I'd be happy to send you the spreadsheet that was done last year. It lists all of the information requested in the public records request. And yes, it is manufactured because we take the information from the UAN and put it in a format that they request that's complete for them without providing additional information that they're not asking for. So while the UAN doesn't produce a record that is exactly what the request entails, the spreadsheet that we create from that information is accurate and can be sent to them. So if I believe Mr. Firestein did weigh in on this last year at this time and did indicate that we could provide the information in a different format than what's produced from the UAN.
Yeah, that, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Sir.
Yeah, Janice is correct on that. We don't have to create a record, but we can if it responds to the requester's request in a way that is more understandable and manageable, and if it keeps us from providing surplus information that they're not asking for and we don't really have an interest in putting out. Once we create that record itself becomes a public record. My view on this is the same as it was last year when we reviewed this, and Janice reiterated it correctly.
So with that, my personal opinion, we can ask the other board members, that we produce the same record we gave them last year with the new updated salary.
I am curious what other jurisdictions do.
I don't know, although if the public information, if I called and asked for the salary of Akron employees, I'm sure I would get the salary of Akron employees.
Because it's such sensitive information, you really do need to just provide what they ask for. And this is a national firm that sends this public records request out to every entity probably in the United States.
And that's why I'm curious. It's not a case of first impression. It might be a case of first impression to Copley.
Right.
But what do other people that are on UAN that have the system limitations we have, how do they respond? What do they do? I'm not saying what we did prior years is unacceptable. It'd be fine.
I don't
but
know
just
what
out of curiosity, rather than reinvent the wheel every year, I'm just curious what somebody else on UAN does.
When you did it last year, Ms. Marshall, how difficult was it to produce the numbers?
Well, there's a report in the UAN that provides all of the information on a report. It just also supplies extraneous information that it's not necessary. So I took the information from the report and data entered it into a separate spreadsheet that only included the information they requested.
Ms. Piper, would that be okay to do that?
It's your decision.
Yeah, so here's the catch-all. If someone wants the information, as Bruce mentioned, it is public, and the source, saying manufactured, it would temporarily, David, and we're counting on you here, eventually, and we don't know if they're looking for a chance to go to court, and there's a penalty if you don't provide these documents. So at some point, then they go to court and say, hey, all I asked was for everyone's salary. That's easily provided. So
Well,
that's what they're doing.
And that's exactly what I'm saying. I think it is easily provided. We want to provide accurate information. Certainly, we're not the only people on UAN. So is everybody on UAN in Ohio going ahead and creating the spreadsheet that we create? Or is there a simpler way? That is the emphasis of my question. I'm not saying that don't provide the information. We should. It should be accurate. What I'm saying is there a better way to do it?
I don't know.
When I first did it and presented it to the board, or was called out on it, I had put a disclaimer on it that the total gross figures that came from UAN did include OPERS and help, everything, all the deductions. And I was comfortable with that.
I was not comfortable with that. I remember that, Linda. I was not comfortable if it represented things inaccurately. Definitely don't want to go down that path again.
Right, and the basis on that was inaccurate. For example, the fire lieutenants all make the same salary, and you had every fire lieutenant at a different salary. That was the one that picked up on my radar right away. And then it went down through other employees that I know their base salary, and it was not accurately placed on that spreadsheet. That was the question that I brought up at that time. Okay, so I think you have direction from the board. The direction is to, our opinion is to do the spreadsheet as it was done last year when Ms. Marshall did it. And let us know if you need help, and we would like to see what you submit back to them, if you would, please.
Before you submit it. Comes to the board before it goes out.
Is that okay, Ms.
I'm not sure I want to do that.
Do what, ma'am?
I'm not sure I want to manufacture that record.
I don't know how to respond to that.
Well, when you say manufacture the record, you're making it sound like it's something nefarious.
You're taking information from the UAN, our accounting network, and you're breaking it all out. You're breaking it all out. The record must exist before you can give it out.
Well, the record of what we pay people.
Yeah, the record.
Those are real numbers, what salaries and how they're set. I mean, those are real numbers. Those records exist in a different form.
You're compiling data and putting it into a format. Now, if they asked for a specific form and you denied them an existing form,
right,
that would be problematic, but that is not what their request is. Their request is for information in a usable, and we're choosing to provide that information to them in a usable format. And so we're entirely permitted to create that record and give that to them. And if they receive that and say, no, this isn't what we want to see the underlying forms that are the basis of this data, then they would have the right to ask to prod further and ask for those actual public records. But that's not what they're asking for. And so we should provide them the compiled data that doesn't over disclose things that they're not asking for. And if that satisfies them, then we've satisfied our obligation of providing them the records that they're requesting. It's the difference between asking to see someone's birth certificate or the date that they were born. If they ask for the date that they were born, we can type it in an email and tell them the date that they were born. If they ask to see the birth certificate, then we have to produce a birth certificate.
Okay. All right.
So just so we're clear, we're going to produce the record as it was produced last year, and you're going to give it to the Board of Trustees prior to giving it to the asking agency. Is that accurate? Is that how you understand it, ma'am?
If that's how you want it, that's fine.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Anything else?
Well, just Jim Schulte and I had a awesome conversation today and agreed to have everything we need and close 2020 on or before January 15th.
We did.
Yeah, so yeah, we're moving forward on that.
We talked about some things on the revenue status report that I think you were going to correct.
Yes,
Okay. And that's all we really reviewed. Linda.
right. And I sent you a comparison budget comparison this afternoon on those funds. And Bruce, you had a question regarding how those funds were created.
I
I didn't answer your email.
I'm sorry?
You had some questions for me.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
You said you answered an email. I have not received an email.
I answered it. I can send it to you. I wish I was on another computer. I did send you a short. You wanted to know how the funds were created, the capital funds were created.
Yes, ma'am. So my question is, the same question we had when you attended the last meeting you attended. There was five accounts made, and there was only to be 2 for fire and 1 for police. And also, there were, from the ambulance billing fund, there was $168,000 moved. And we're trying to figure out why that happened and what resolution that was done.
What you received this afternoon is correct.
Okay. All right.
Please review it.
I'm sorry.
Please review it.
I did, ma'am. I reviewed a spreadsheet over the accounts, and the numbers that was moved is not accurate.
I just sent you a revised spreadsheet today.
Yes, ma'am.
And you just told me you just sent me an email and said you would review it.
Yes, and I did. You sent it to me at 4:47. I responded back to you at 4:48, 1 minute after you sent it. And I said I would review it as soon as possible. I did. I finished that up about 15 minutes before this meeting started, and the spreadsheet you sent is not accurate.
And why are they not accurate?
I was working on it with Ms. Marshall. I will let her chime in as she had the numbers accurately.
Okay.
So unfortunately, I did not see the spreadsheet that you sent at 4:47 this afternoon. So I am going based on the numbers and the information you sent to me at the, I don't know, middle of January. So at that time, the numbers that were transferred into the capital accounts were different than the computation that would be made if you took 1/6 of the previous year's expenses, which was what was indicated on the resolution. So fund number 2111 should have transferred $283,702.44, and the amount that was transferred was $436,704. In fund number 2191, we should have transferred $215,764.19, and the amount that was transferred was $200,715. And then for police, fund number 2081, we should have transferred $619,096.74, and the amount that was transferred was $785,747. So I had questioned how you computed your numbers, and I just have not received a response. So I wasn't sure if you had made any adjustments, if the spreadsheet that you sent to Mr. Kolner this afternoon has those same numbers. And in the resolution, it did not address the ambulance fund, but I see that 168,000 was transferred. So some of my questions that I had sent to you in an email were about those calculations and why the ambulance fund was transferred as well.
Okay. Well, let me go ahead and reset. Let me send you the figures, the revised figures, and we'll get together on it. They were created according to resolution.
Ma'am, that's the question about, they weren't, as Ms. Marshall just indicated, they're 1/6 the numbers, and we did the calculations, and they are not done according to the resolution.
And there's 4 accounts.
And there's 4 accounts, and there's other accounts here that should not have existed, that weren't brought forward in any type of resolution.
So Linda, I'm looking at it now. There's 4904, 4905, 4906, and 4907. I think the resolution said we wanted 1 for fire, 1 for police,
2 for fire.
2 for
Well,
fire, 1 for police.
1 for fire, 1 for police, right?
right. You could do it either way. You could have 2 and have 1 for fire, 1 for police, and combine the 2111s and the 2191s. Or if you need to have 3, that's okay too.
But there was 4.
There were actually 5.
There was actually, the 5th was the ambulance move.
No, the ambulance move is in there.
Correct, but it shouldn't have been. There was no resolution. You moved 168,000 from the ambulance billing fund. We don't know why.
I guess maybe I misread the resolution. I'll go back over and look at it.
Okay, so
That's,
this is
that's
a,
all I can say.
I'm sorry?
There was an attachment to the resolution.
The attachment to the resolution was the list of capital expenditures that could be made from that fund. So the list, for instance, in fire had ambulance and fire trucks and
Right.
other capital items that could be purchased from that capital fund. It had nothing to do with the computation. You provided in another document, when you had redone the resolutions, you provided a document that showed what the expenditures were in 2019, and you divided it by 6, which would have been the accurate number. But that's not the number you transferred into these capital funds. So my question was more, how did you come up with the number? You had indicated in another time that you added 2% for inflation, and I
Right.
wasn't, I mean, that's not part of the resolution. I don't know where that came from as
Well,
well.
it came from your worksheet.
The worksheet was the capital items that could be purchased from the account. It had nothing to do with
Very
the,
confusing. That was very confusing.
Oh, okay. All right, so you're gonna revisit the resolution, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, and we had the issue, we had, as we discussed when you gave us the December financials, which was the first meeting in January, that the December financials were inaccurate. And we talked about the 168,000 ambulance fund moving. And you were gonna talk to the auditor, you recall that conversation?
Yes, I did. I do recall that conversation. And he pointed out that the resolution was incorrect on the ambulance purchase. There should not have been a blanket certificate included in that ambulance. The ambulance, if I remember correctly, was, and I may not be correct, 210,000 should have stood alone. It should not have been more money than the ambulance was. And
Yeah, that's different.
We don't want to revisit that, do we? Yeah.
what was that?
Ma'am, you're talking about 2 different things here. We talked to the auditor as well, if you remember that. Let's go on to the next question, all right?
Oh, wait, first on the capital funds, Bruce, I hate to interject. Can we just lay out the exact amount that we want transferred to
She just
the
did.
fire and the police?
She just did.
yes.
Okay,
The reason that wasn't done the first time is we didn't have the numbers.
no, I know, but now we do,
We could
and just to,
do a resolution
Make
with
it
the exact
easy.
numbers,
right?
right?
Can we just read them for the record, what they should be, so that everybody in this meeting, including Linda, knows what the right number is?
Sure.
That's what you just read, right?
Yes.
However, one question I have, can we do that for 2020? Because that's when that resolution was supposed to take place.
Well, we're
I
just gonna read
think
it as.
we do need to
Bruce,
do.
you totally lost me. What are you talking about right now? What are you
Well,
talking about? Because
Actually, it's me talking, Linda, and what I'm suggesting is that we go back to the December 2020
Yes.
resolution, where we said 1/6 of the expense, and that was a computable number that the auditor said was fine. Now I'm suggesting that maybe right now during this meeting, we actually say what that computed amount is, so that you can properly record it in the two capital funds we want created.
Let's do it. Let's
Okay.
just do it.
Okay?
Okay.
So we'll do a resolution, we'll do a
No.
vote.
We're just clarifying the amount that we computed from the December 2020 resolution.
We don't need a resolution?
No resolution.
Let's make a motion to clarify the amounts.
I'll second that motion. So we're gonna give you the exact amount so you don't have to calculate it, okay?
Okay.
Are you ready? Or would you prefer it in an email?
Put it in email, please.
Let's go ahead and read it into the record.
Let's read it right now.
Okay.
Okay. So fund number 4903, titled miscellaneous capital projects, has a 0 amount and should be deleted. Fund number 4904, titled capital project, has a balance of $168,000, should be 0. Fund number 4905, titled 2081 police, should be $619,096.74. Fund number 4906, titled 2111 fire, should be $283,702.44. Fund number 4907, titled 2191 EMS, should be $215,764.19.
Can you give me 4905 one more time? I missed it.
$619,096.74.
Thank you.
Okay. And then we will follow it up with an email so the numbers are accurately
Thank
recorded.
And that should be the balance as of December 31, 2020.
Yes.
Okay. So after all these transfers from ambulance in and outs get fixed, those are the ending balances for the year, Linda. All right?
In those specific accounts.
Okay.
Okay. All right, we're done with December financials. Next question.
Been deleted,
I'm sorry?
which have been deleted. I had to delete the December financials.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay,
To
the
be
next
redone.
one.
They're redone pending Jim Schulte and I's meeting the minds.
I had no idea I had such influence.
Okay. Number 2, the credit card policy.
Yes, what about it?
When you sent the credit card policy, we had some discussion about that. You removed section 10, it moved up. So section 11 moved up into section 10. There was a list of questions that the administrator had on it. She emailed those to you. We were carbon copied in it. We have not seen a response.
Well, you know, I'm a fiscal officer. I'm not an administrator. I'm not familiar with writing policies. I want the public to be protected. And I just, produce a policy that's going to show me that the residents and the people using their credit card is going to be secure. I'm not a policy writer. That's an example. I took out number 10 because I really wasn't sure. It was a guideline.
Okay, so I understand that. However, it doesn't match with what we are able or can do here at the township. And that's why the administrator sent you back a list of questions. My question to you is, can you address that email? We have not heard anything back from it yet.
No, because I'm not a policy writer. She met with Gabby at Merchant One. Gabby went over the system with her. I want to I want to accept credit cards. I want copy people to be able to use their credit card.
Man, we understand that. And when we started discussing this in the
I don't
beginning,
think you do, Bruce. I don't think you do, Bruce.
ma'am, 1 minute, please. In the beginning, we can bring up the recordings of the meetings. You said you would write the policy and it falls under fiscal. Now, if you're unable to or unwilling to, please let us know and we will address this in another manner.
Well, first of all, it was a policy, Bruce, and then you came back and said it was a procedure. We've wasted probably 2 months getting this thing off the ground, and now it's back being a policy.
It's still not a policy.
Sorry, I'm not a policy writer. I want to offer the service and protect the taxpayers and protect the credit card information.
Ma'am, that's what we're doing.
The policy manual, I don't have anything to do with the policy manual. That's your department.
Right, and that's why we mentioned to you, you have to follow the policy manual if you want to put a policy in there. We have a procedure for that. It's dictated in the policy manual. But, and you stated to us several times you were able to and was going to do that. The question remains, there are several questions. Credit cards have to be handled through the fiscal office.
I can't answer those questions, Bruce. She needs to talk to Merchant One. Write the policy and be done with it. And put it in your policy manual. We keep wasting time.
I understand that. We're waiting for it. That's why I asked you about why emails have not been answered. Let's go on to the next question. The health and safety purchase for exercise equipment or fire and police, that was to come out of donated funds.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have the purchase order here, and the purchase order shows that it came out of the fire budget, not the donated funds. As
now
put forth in the resolution.
Bruce, the general fund was to advance $2,500 into the fund to purchase the exercise, the treadmill, whatever it was. Okay. I have to get an okay. I have to report that on the certificate before I can move that money into that fund. Simple as that.
Okay, I'm gonna let Ms. Marshall interject there because we have accepted, many times, we've accepted grants or donations, had to have made the purchase, so we advance the money, and then after the purchase is proven that we've made the purchase, we receive the donation or grant. We've done it, I can't countless times we've done it. I'm misunderstanding how that can happen, one. Number two, there was a resolution on that, and the treadmill money came out of a different fund that was not appropriated in our resolution. You took funds from a different fund, you took money from a different fund, not in accordance with the resolution. So let's let Ms. Marshall interject.
Bruce, I got an error when I tried to do what you just said. I got an error from UAN. I called them up and you cannot, but the advance, since it's an advance, you can't move it. Okay?
Okay, I'll let Ms. Marshall.
Go ahead and let me know how Ms. Marshall did it.
Okay, we're gonna take a second, but how did that give you the approval to take it from another fund?
We're advancing from the general fund.
No, ma'am, this money came from the fire budget. This PO is written against the fire's budget. Fund number 2191.
Okay.
Okay,
well, let's see what let me get some advice from Miss Marshall, see how she did it.
Okay.
Maybe I'm missing something.
Well, I just am remembering that when we get money from, for instance, the Reworks grant, we've gotten $17,304 the last couple years. So that's always a reimbursing grant, and we always advance the money from the general fund into the reimbursing grant fund, spend it, and then get reimbursed from Reworks. So I just am not understanding how this is a different scenario than something like that. It's the same type of thing. If we could advance the 2,500 into the wellness fund, then we could write the PO, spend the money, prove that we spent it, get the money back, and then repay the advance. I don't know what you came across with in UAN. I don't know what UAN heard or what the conversation was. I was not privy to that. I just do know that we have done this in previous instances when we get grants that are reimbursing grants. We always have to advance the fund into the grant fund. And I believe I sent you some information from the accounting standards notebook that indicated that you would be able to do that.
But I first have to report it to the certificate of estimated resources before we can spend it.
Well, you're not receiving any new money. So when you make an amendment on the.
Put it in. I can't put it in without them okaying it. Once the certificate comes back and shows $2,500 in that account, then I can go ahead and put it in as a supplemental.
But the amendments to the certificate of estimated resources are for additional monies received. You're not really receiving any additional money yet. You're correct. When you receive it from the granting authority, you'll have to amend the certificate that you received additional monies. But right now,
how do I move it, Janet? How do I move $2,500 from the general fund into another fund?
it's an advance. And so.
Okay, let me ask you one more question about this issue. The resolution talked about where the monies were going to come from. It did not talk about coming from the fire budgets 2191.
Just the part of it that was supposed to come from.
Right.
So the 1,800 was supposed to come from the fire fund, but the 2,500 was a grant.
Yeah, the 2,500 was the grant. You took it from the operating supplies from the fire department. Did you know you did that without board approval?
What are you talking about, Bruce?
There was you took for the remainder of the purchase, $2,500 you took from 2191 operating supplies from the fire budget. That was not in the resolution to do that. Did you know you took it from an account that was not approved by the Board of Trustees?
What was it for?
The health and safety purchase for the exercise equipment.
This is exactly what we're talking about.
Exactly, same subject. I'm asking a question. Did you know that you took it from a fund that was not authorized by the Board of Trustees?
I was not aware of that. I'll have to look into that.
Okay. All right,
I will definitely have to look into that.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
We signed a check this past January, just a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was a penalty from Ohio Police and Fire Fund for a delinquent payment.
Yes.
Okay, can you explain why we are paying penalties for delinquent payments?
No, Bruce, I think it was $25. It was, wasn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. It was for oh gosh, I don't have it in front of me. It was a new hire penalty. I talked to John Davis and we thought it was going to be waived. He said, wasn't any big deal, but we went ahead and paid it. Things happen, Bruce.
Okay. Last question for you that I have, ma'am. We need the budget information to do the permanent appropriations that are due in March. We have not received the budget information. Can you tell us when we would receive that?
What do you need?
The budget information for the 2021 budget year?
Did I receive an email on that?
It's a requirement that we do every year.
I know, but did I receive an email on it? A reminder?
I can't answer that. I didn't send one.
You just what?
Hang on.
It's just providing the financials.
Yeah, you're just providing us the accurate financials, which we get every month anyway, so we really don't need a reminder. We just need the accurate financials so we can do the 2021 permanent budget.
Well, you'll have that when Jim and I have a meeting of the minds by this February 15th. I mean, I have the financials, but until Jim and I get together, I'm not releasing anything for the board for their review until it's accurate.
So am I being led to believe that I'm holding up the closing of the year?
No, gotta make sure you're the CPA.
Yeah, ma'am, he's a board of trustee member. He happens to be CPA in civilian life, but that doesn't, you still are the fiscal officer. I'm very happy that you have a relationship that allows some input from any of us. But I just want to make sure we know that those financials have to come from your office.
They will.
Okay. And do we have a date?
And the minutes will come from our office. You know, before you wanted us to take full charge of fiscal, we had a great gal doing, Beth Siddell was doing the minutes. They were great. They were on time. I didn't change that. Okay, I didn't change that. I took on a whole lot more responsibility, added a new person, and we're training her, and we do a lot up there. And thank you, Trustee Dressler, for giving Janet Iverson a nice review. I appreciate that.
I understand that. And we asked when you wanted to hire a second person, would that person be able to do the minutes? And you indicated full-heartedly, yes, that would be done.
She is committed today. She is committed to do the minutes. 100%.
Okay. So I just want to be clear on that we asked when you wanted to hire. Okay, understood. Okay.
Is that for me? Is that all for me, Bruce?
That's for me. What about anybody else have anything for Ms. Pfeiffer?
I'm good for
I have one thing and I guess I'm piling on to what you said, Bruce. I mean, last meeting, we had a request from the fire chief that we denied because we don't have any budget information. Can't get any budget information if we can't get year-end financials out. There's gonna be more requests tonight that I'm gonna vote no on because I don't have any budget information. So it all starts with getting the year-end financials out.
You know, for what it's worth, I think these department heads need to start working with fiscal on these requests that they're having. Number one, it would open up communication. It would let us know.
I mean, for the year-end financial statements to be completed. It's the middle of February, for crying out loud.
It's not the department heads that have neglected the minutes from November 24th either.
I wasn't talking about the minutes.
Well, I am.
Put the videos up, Bruce. We'll get the minutes done.
Minutes have nothing to do with videos. The minutes have to be.
Yes, it does.
We're going to leave it. No.
Here's the details.
Minutes are Ohio Revised Code required. They have to be printed and they have to be put and approved. It has nothing to do with YouTube videos. We're going to leave it right there and move on. Does anybody have anything else for Ms. Pfeiffer? Okay, thank you. Moving on.
Thank you.
Ms. Marshall.
The only item I have tonight is to request an executive session to discuss benefits of personnel in all departments.
Okay, thank you. Anything from Ms. Marshall?
I'm good.
Is there gonna be an intermission?
Do we need one?
Yeah.
Okay, before we go on to Chief Bauer, we're gonna take a 5-minute,
I'll go downstairs.
5-minute recess.
This conference will now be recorded.
Session.
She'll have to get over it. First 2 days, they've been okay.
Yeah. Chief Bauer, you're up next.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. As you know, we do quarterly reviews on new employees, and between this meeting and the next Board of Trustee meeting, you'll see probably a handful of employees that we're going to ask to be removed from probation. 2 tonight are both part-time. They're Brad Eplin and Joe Diatoma, respectively. Both very good employees, and we're just asking for them to be removed from probation.
So move Schulte.
Second, Colner.
You're doing them separate because they're different dates. I don't know.
Okay, let's do them one at a time, just for clarification. Let's, you want to rescind my
No,
second?
just add his name to the first.
So move
Right.
Brad Eplin to be removed on October 16th.
I'll second. Colner? Any discussion? I'll call for the vote.
Dressler, yes.
Colner, yes.
Schulte, yes. I'd like to make a motion to remove Joe Diatoma from probationary status effective January 6th.
Second, Colner. Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Dressler, yes.
Colner, yes.
Schulte, yes.
And this is also part of refining the process between the department and Selma Mueller, who compiles the quarterly evaluations. So we're working to refine that. I'd also like to recommend that we grant a 6-month leave of absence to paramedic Doug King, one of our part-time firefighters. He is heavily involved in Little League Baseball, and it's a passion that he's pursuing. So we plan to have him back after 6 months, maybe a little bit less.
So move Schulte.
Second, Colner. Any discussion?
Is he a Copley guy?
No.
Okay. Just curious where he's playing Little League Baseball.
Good guy. Sounds like travel ball.
Yeah. This is something he does with his son.
Okay. Call for the vote.
Dressler, yes.
Colner, yes.
Schulte, yes.
And just a reminder, before the end of this month, I'll have the January fire department report out. It will be in the new format. If you remember, we transitioned to our new records management program. We finished off last year using the old format with the Excel spreadsheet that you're used to seeing. So look for that towards the end of this week. And then the only other request I have for the board is executive session to discuss employment of personnel in the fire department. And that's all I have for the board, unless the board has anything for me.
Anything for Chief Bauer? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hi, Chief.
Hi.
Go ahead.
I have a request in which I'm seeking permission to purchase 9 dash cam video recording units to install in our market police cruisers. And I sent that information to you earlier this week for you to review. Total cost of this would be $86,110. We would pay this out over 5 years. So we would be responsible in the first year for the amount of $17,222, and then the same amount each year for the four following years This is purchasing the WatchGuard dash camera system from Motorola Systems. And it will be compatible with our body cameras that we have in place that are now manufactured by Motorola.
I'll move for discussion.
Second for discussion. Schulte.
All right, the motion was made by Colner, seconded by Schulte. Discussion.
Well, how was it budgeted and what account?
We don't have a budget.
The question was, how was the budget and what?
I know, this is what you're referring to. You guys got the email.
So I'm 100% in favor of this purchase, but not at this time. We don't have, it's a pretty good sized expense. We don't have a 2021 budget. And in a month from now, we should have a budget and we'll have a pretty good read on the pandemic's effect on the property tax collections. And I'd be 110% supportive if those numbers show up good in March and we approve this, but if you want my vote now, it would be no.
My question, Chief, would be, what's the detriment of waiting until the budget is done in March?
Well, I provided some information, but just to explain it a little bit more in detail, we've had dash cam body cameras in place in all of our Mark Cruisers for quite some time. The equipment is getting older, and as you know, they're basically computers, so the technology has been replaced several times over. I was not going to replace these right now. I was going to wait. However, we've learned that the system that we currently have is from ICOP. ICOP actually was sold to a different company at some point in time. I'm not even sure who owns them now. And ICOP is no longer supporting the current systems that we have in place, which means they will not repair them. We have a couple of the hard drives that have gone bad, so we cannot store the images on those hard drives. So we were purchasing refurbished hard drives. We got those in and tried to put those in, and those didn't work. We can still try to buy some more refurbished hard drives and see if they'll work. But my worry is I just don't want to put it off too long and wait till next month. That's fine.
Are there current units, are there cruisers out there without working dash cams?
You got two.
Yeah.
Does everybody have body cams?
They have, but they do have body cams that are working. So in one respect, we could wait for the budget because the body cameras are operating. It will cause us a little bit of a problem now and then, but it's not totally critical. We had a traffic stop the other day where somebody contested the traffic stop. The cruiser camera was not working in that car. We do have body camera to show the interaction between the officer and the violator, which just spells part of his complaint. And that officer was able to go back and find video on a business in the area to show the traffic violation. So if you want to wait, if we can do it next month, that'd be great.
Is this through capital improvement?
Well, Rick, my point is I'd like to see how it fits together with the rest of Chief Meyer's budget, just to make sure. And Chief, I'm 100% in favor of this for all the reasons that you're proposing it. I just.
It's a big amount. It's a large amount. If it was 15 grand or something.
Yeah, economically, if we can wait a month, that would be
86
my vote.
grand.
It's 17. Well.
It's only
86 for-
17, but you're signing up for the whole 86.
You are.
You should have.
We got to vote on this, on that resolution.
Can we move the table?
We can table or vote no and do it again, whichever you prefer.
What would you prefer, Chief?
I would just table it.
All right.
Fine with me. It doesn't matter either way, but table it.
You move to table, I'll second. Any discussion on tabling this resolution? All right, Chief, it's tabled. Bring it to our attention during the budget procedure.
Okay.
Don't let us forget about it in March.
I will. Also, you should have before you the Copley Police Department monthly report for January 2021 with a look back to January 2020. If you did not get that in your email, I can get you a copy. And then I have one more item, which really is a housekeeping item left over from the last meeting. And that was the letter of resignation from Detective Bruce Kashner, as we discussed in the last meeting. He's submitted a letter of resignation because he is going into a new career outside of law enforcement. And the last meeting, we talked about that. I did go back and talk to him further, and he does want to tender his resignation, which would be effective. He would work until February the 26th of 2021. We did not, or you did not officially accept that letter last time. So I'm just asking you to consider accepting that tonight.
So move Schulte.
Second, Jocelyn.
Any discussion? I think we discussed it at length last meeting.
That's the length that we met. He was a good officer, currently assigned to some kind of drug unit. Very successful there as well, but he's decided to go into a different field that's outside law enforcement.
Understandable. Thank you, sir. Okay. Call for the, Ms. Piper.
I'm
Ms.
sorry,
Piper,
Bruce. Go ahead.
you call for the vote, please.
Trustee Dressler?
Oh, sorry, is it a motion or a resolution?
Just a motion.
I'm sorry. We can call for the vote. I'm sorry. I'll call for
Okay.
Dressler, yes.
Colner, yes.
Schulte, yes.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mitchell?
Good evening. Few requests for the board tonight. First one is a resolution amending the 2021 temporary appropriations for Fund 2031. See the figures in the resolution there. You have any questions on?
Also move for discussion. Colner.
Second, Dressler.
Okay.
Just a clarification as to why this is necessary. When we received the first certificate of estimated resources back in September for 2021, the certificate did not include the levy that had expired at the end of 2020 that had not yet been voted on by the voters. So we have since received the new certificate, which indicates that the new levy was passed and additional funds are available for 2031. So in the temporary appropriations, we weren't able to appropriate any money for any of the accounts beyond what the carryover was estimated to be. So now that we've received that certificate, we can amend the temporary appropriations to get some money into the account so they can start spending or continue to spend legitimately. We were using payroll money mainly for any expenses until now. So these numbers are indicative of some additional costs that they'll incur in the first quarter.
What's inside contracted services, that 43,000?
That would,
I'm sorry.
43,000 in contracted services. Is that senior snowplow? I think I had originally put that into contracted services out of the carryover money, and we had to use that in order to buy salt and in order to buy other things.
Yes.
So I'm replenishing that.
This is senior snowplow, basically?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Ms. Piper, you call the roll, please.
Yes, we have a resolution number on that one.
It's number 9.
Okay. Trustee Dressler?
Yes.
Trustee Colner?
Yes.
Trustee Schulte?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next resolution request is approving of the purchase orders and blanket certificates for the service department that are over the $3,000 limit for 2021.
So move.
Second, Colner. Motion was made by Mr. Dressler. Discussion.
Again, this is usually done in December or January by the other departments. You might remember that they did this so that they could have some purchase orders in place for the beginning of the year. Again, this is because of the certificate issue.
Just for my education, more than anything, Mark, I know Cargill's salt, right?
Right.
Okay, I got one. Beyond that, some of these other ones I'm not familiar with. Penco.
Penco is where we get all of our supplies for the town hall buildings, building supplies for the papers, paper products, things to operating of the buildings.
Okay. And the other one I had a question on was Welton's EPA testing.
That's the required testing on our well at the police department, required by the EPA. We do 4 tests per year for bacteria and make sure that our levels are okay, because that is considered a public water system. So we're required to have this testing done quarterly every year. And it just, they keep adding a few things paperwork that just keeps compiling and makes the amount we spend more and more. Right now, somebody has to go down there once a month and sit there for an hour and a half and watch the system. Well, they gotta charge us for that. So
Okay. And of
that's
course-
what that is for. I can go down through these if you have.
No, those were the ones I questioned with, and really, we have a well, because even though the police department's in paying JED taxes, we're not connected to Akron Water.
Correct.
Just, yes, just for the record.
Just for the police department, it's not connected. Correct.
Any other discussion? Ms. Piper, you call the roll, please.
Yes, that'll be resolution number 10. Trustee Dressler,
Yes.
trustee Colner,
Yes.
trustee Schulte.
Yes.
Thank you. The next request I have is approval of resolution for emergency purchase order in the amount of $40,000, Cargill Incorporated for road salt. That would be effective February 2nd, 2021.
So moved, Coleman.
Second, Schulte.
Any discussion?
This 40 is coming out of the resolution that we just passed, right?
Yes, it's part of the 137,000 that's,
And that's resolution number 11. Is that accurate?
No, that'll be 10.
No, it's 11. We just did 10.
That's what I thought, but it says resolution approving emergency purchase order in the amount of $40,000 in Cargill Inc. for road salt effective February 1st on mine anyway. I had that as number 10.
no, number 10 was the list of blanket certificates and purchase orders.
Okay. All right. Then that's 11. Okay.
Okay, any other discussion? Ms. Piper, you call the roll, please.
Yes, trustee Dressler. Trustee Dressler,
Yes.
trustee Colner,
Yes.
trustee Schulte.
Yes.
Thank you. The next request is approval of a resolution granting permission to issue a purchase order in the amount of $9,972.65 to Lewis Landscaping to provide fertilizer and weed control treatments on township properties for 2021. The reason why we bring this up at the beginning of the year is because we do get a discount by approving the full amount. That takes care of the entire year for township properties.
So moved, Colner.
Second, Dressler.
Discussion.
Budget. We don't have one.
Can this wait till we do our budget, sir?
We'll lose the discount, but we can,
How much do we lose, Mark?
I think it's 3 to 5%.
It's a
5%.
5% prepayment.
When do we have to have it paid for to get the
I don't
5%?
have that in front of me. so-
It's March 5th.
Is it March 5th?
Mhm.
Okay,
I'm sorry, March 15th.
15.
We're not gonna have the budget by then, so
Yeah.
I think we gotta bite the bullet here.
Yeah, that's $500,
Right.
roughly. Any other discussion? I'll call for the vote.
It's a
Or, I'm sorry, it's a roll. Ms. Piper, you call the roll, please.
It'll be resolution 12, trustee Dressler,
Yes.
trustee Colner,
Yes.
trustee Schulte.
Yes. Just pay for it.
Okay, the last request I have is for a resolution granting permission to enter into a 5-year agreement with Otis Elevator for the maintenance and repair of the town hall elevator. We have one agreement that was expired. They have been taking care of maintaining the elevator since its installation in 2011. This agreement covers a 5-year period from 2021, 2026. It's broken down into 5 different year payments. Total for the total cost,
19,966.02.
thank you.
$4,000 a year roughly, Mark?
Pardon me?
$4,000 a year roughly?
Yeah, starts out 38, ends up at 41.
Consistent with the prior year budgets?
Yes. As a matter of fact, they actually reduced their cost by 7%. They reduced their cap by 1% from 3 to 2.
Was there a motion on this yet? If not, so move Colner.
Second, Schulte.
Any other discussion? Ms. Piper, you call the roll, please.
Resolution number 13, trustee Dressler,
Yes.
trustee Colner,
Yes.
and trustee Schulte.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it on the request. You should have received my service department January monthly report. And the only other item I have for the board is an executive session to discuss hiring personnel in the service department. And that's all I have for the board.
Anything else for Mr. Mitchell? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Klein?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My first item is discussion on water and sewer update. So obviously over the course of the last few months, we've had discussions on sewer extensions, where the sewer extensions are going to take place, Sunset Drive improvements, not just sewer, but total improvements, road, water, sewer, all accompanying utilities. We talked about funding assistance for those extensions in Sunset Drive and potential partnerships for funding with the City of Akron and Department of Sanitary Sewer with Summit County. So in an effort to target, our efforts moving forward, I'd like to get the board's input on a detailed plan for those sewer extensions. I have before me 3 options based upon our discussions that I'd be prepared to get started on rather quickly. So I'll put forth the 3 options and we can absolutely discuss potentially a combination of those 3 or whatever the board's appetite is for that. So I'll go through these slowly here. Option A would be Sunset Drive improvements. So this is our initial discussion. That would be to move forward with CESO. The consultant has provided the request for qualifications for the Sunset Drive improvements. Those are the road, water, sewer utilities, all utilities on Sunset Drive. If desired, we could work with CESO at that time to look at sewer extension along Copley Road, probably based upon the Sunset Drive location and the improvements associated with that. They'd be looking at sewer basically, at least from my perspective, between the railroad tracks and Copley Circle. So that would be probably within their scope of flow and engineering and design. Something beyond that would probably be a little more expansive of a project. But again, either look at just Sunset Drive or have them accompany Sunset Drive with some sewer along Copley Road. So we can secure the debt if needed for Sunset Drive improvements, and additional option to secure the debt for that portion of sewer along Copley Road that I mentioned. So that's option A. Option B would be to secure debt for all the sewer projects that we've talked about, all the targeted sewer projects, basically from State Route 21. For clarity, just would basically be the Jacoby Road, around through the circle, focusing on the JED properties, securing debt for approximately $5 million of sewer construction, issue an RFQ and hire a consultant to design those. Option C would be to secure debt on a project basis. So we could prioritize projects, whether that be Copley Road West, Copley Road East, or Jacoby and Copley Road, issue a RFQ and hire a consultant on a project basis, just securing debt at $1 million, $1.5 million, $500,000 at a time. So those are the 3 options. I know I ran through those rather quickly. Are there any questions specifically about those I can go back through, or any thoughts from the board? I just know this is a priority. We want to obviously move quickly. We've identified a potential, funding source here at the township, and I just want to get working on it quickly and just want to make sure that we're all on the same page.
I read your email, and as we discussed prior, we can help fund the project to get the infrastructure in the ground for the sewers in the area that was left untouched by what we thought was going to be taken care of by the JED. However, in discussions, are we going to be able to share in revenue to try and recoup some of that, recoup some of those expenditures? We do have, I think we do, have the ability to secure debt. We have enough income to secure debt and pay for the infrastructure, thinking that the entire area is 4.3 million to do all the sewers that's left and done. So we've had this discussion prior. So how would you like us to proceed?
Well, I think the last time we discussed, you mentioned, given the interest rates right now, it might be a good opportunity to secure as much debt as possible. I think option C, securing debt on a project by project basis, might be a little cumbersome and might cost us more in the long run. So, I'd probably be in favor of securing as much debt as possible, given the interest rates, given, I think a lot of this sewer is tied together. So we're not necessarily talking about sewer in the southeast portion of the township and the northwest portion of the township. These are all going to be lines that are going to be connected. They're all going to be related to probably, 1 or 2 pump stations. So I think it could be designed, relatively in an entire scope. I'm far from an engineer, so I'll leave that up to the experts. But I think it could be relatively done in a close proximity amount of time. So I think option B is important and feasible. It's getting sewer to all the JED properties, which has been a priority of us. This is a lot of sewer to install, so I don't think it's going to happen overnight. So to your original question, I think I anticipate, I'm confident we'll have some opportunities to work with our partners, whether that be Summit County or the city of Akron, and get some coordination on the funding. We'll always be looking for opportunities, whether it's a TIF, whether it's a developer to come in and contribute in different ways. So I by no means anticipate the township having to fund the entire $5 million, is what I'm answering. But I think I would like some clarity whether or not we're going to include Sunset Drive and CISO moving forward, or if we're going to just focus on just sewer as a whole.
Well, I'm in favor of doing it all at once. I have proposed previously, we do receive revenue sharing in the form of a percentage of the JED tax. And I proposed that we use CIC money, and that was not initially considered, but I still think that for whatever percentage, it's $400-some thousand to use that for the debt service. But I'm in favor of doing it all at once.
I'm in favor of doing it all at once as well. And when I say all at once, the sewers that you mentioned, the total 4.3, I think, right?
Estimated.
Yeah, I would say it's closer to 5. If we do some of these other little fingers.
Right. So, okay, I'm in favor of doing the sewers that we spoke about, as well as doing the sunset improvements. But I think we'd be remiss if we're going to dig up Copley Road and run sewers, not to make sure we don't have a pathway going down there. And I also come back to an underlying premise that I felt from day one is that if we're going to provide sewers to some of these properties on Copley Road, maybe now is the time for us to secure right of ways to make sure we can put pathways where we need to put pathways. I think it's hand in glove. I just don't think you can run sewers and not think about paths. I think you have to do it all at once. So I'm piling on top of what Trustee Dressler said. I'm in favor of going after it all.
Yeah, with the pathways, when you watch them put those things in, that's commonly done now with any of the construction.
There's one thing I would like clarification from our legal counsel, assuming Dave, you're still on board and haven't fallen asleep yet. I want to make sure that if we proceed with sewers and we start to put pipe in the ground, that we're not giving up any legal recourse we may or may not have against our JED partner.
Before Mr. Fireside, before you answer that, can we talk about that in open session? I would prefer.
I think that pertains to the interpretation of the JED agreement, so I'd rather talk about that in executive session.
Okay, that is my only concern. Is I hate to go out and do this, and all of a sudden, any opportunity we may have had legally, we have foregone. That is my only concern.
So, okay, I'm echoing both my colleagues here. So, so it's clear that I'm okay and proponent for doing the entire system, as I've mentioned prior, and securing the debt now at 2% rather than 5% down the road. I also am a large proponent for the pathway, so I would echo Mr. Schulte's comments there. One thing I have an issue with, and you have to reassure me, I know you can't feel the pulse of another agency, but if we put the pipe in the ground, that effluent has to go somewhere. Somebody has to service that system and accept the effluent. Do we have an entity that will accept the effluent? I don't want to spend money with an engineering firm to find out that we're gonna have pipe in the ground that we can't put any product in.
My perception is that the engineering has been designed to accept the effluent based on the size of pipe and the questions that we've asked from the agencies, whether it be Summit County or the city of Akron, that it's all feasible. Summit County moving forward, although based on budgetary limitations, have stopped their planning, at least temporarily, on the pump station, indicates that they believe that there's serviceability and its functionality with the sewer to handle the effluent. When we reached out previously, several months ago into last year, to the city of Akron about these projects, they made no indication that there'd be any issue accepting the effluent and proceeded with the proposals. So based on my knowledge, I feel confident that the system has been designed and is capable of handling the effluent from this area.
I can tell you in conversations that I've had with the city and the county, and that is accurate. The county does have a contract with the city of Akron to handle enough effluent that they can take this area and use their system at Ridgewood and Cleo Maslin.
Sure.
To take it. So I do know they can accept it. That doesn't mean they will. Right. I know I'm putting you on a spot here, but if we put the pipe in the ground, do you feel at least semi-comfortable that somebody will accept the effluent and service the system?
From all my conversations, I do.
Okay, thank you.
So I think while we work to answer the question that we may be looking for some advice from legal, I guess the way I'm going to proceed is continue to get the Audubon agreement, work with CESO on evaluating Sunset Drive, but also have them evaluate some engineering for Copley Road sewer for what they can do in their scope. Work on that simultaneously and continue to, work alongside Ms. Marshall about some funding opportunities for the whole project. And we'll just keep plugging along with all these projects as a whole. Again, this is going to take a little bit of time so we can air out some of these other questions, but I feel like I have a good direction.
So you think you're clear on what we're telling you?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I mean, if the board is supportive of the Sunset Drive project and the consultant, we've had conversations with them about designing some sewer along Copley Road. So we will be addressing Copley Road simultaneously with Sunset Drive.
All right, thanks, sir. Appreciate you bringing that to us.
Absolutely. And then the last item I had was the monthly report. It's just real quick on January. Pretty quiet month, typically this time of year. Estimated value of improvements, $335,000, and we processed 13 permits. So I think the last 4 items, you can see that the ARB is still reviewing 4 applications. That's all commercial modifications. And then the BZA's got 4 items under their review in the zoning commission. 1 map amendment, but several text amendments under their radar. So, any questions for me?
Any questions for Mr. Love?
Yes, of course. Sorry about that. First off, the email that came from the Firehouse 2, where they were requesting help with Summit County as far as getting their building permits approved.
I don't believe I was copied.
No, and I apologize for that. I meant to forward that to you. We received an email.
I'm forwarding it right now.
Okay.
That was an email from the Firehouse Tavern 2 that we mentioned earlier about the liquor permit that was having issues with Summit County building.
I guess I'm requesting that this is somebody that wants to build in our township. We said we are in favor of their liquor permit here, and they, in their opinion, they're getting slow walked by the county. In their opinion, I'm not saying they are.
I didn't send it to you. I meant to do that.
Please after I send this to you, coordinate with the property owner and help them any way you can.
Yeah, we worked with the owner on a few different applications, so, and obviously we work really closely with the building department, so we'll touch base tomorrow and see what the issues are.
If they were looking out, I received that email at 3:30. I meant to forward it on to Ms. Marshall and Mr. Klein. I didn't do that.
I just sent it to
Okay, I'm gonna send it to
Janice.
Yes as well.
Is that, did you say Summit County Building or Engineer?
Building.
Building.
Yeah, it sounds like they're running into some issues there, and they're reaching out to the county and county administration and our administration looking for us some assistance.
Yeah, I did see a adjudication order, which is their engineer or architect on the project responding to the comments from the building department, but I handled that in my previous position, and it's pretty common. They go back and forth with comments, but I wasn't aware that there were still ongoing issues, so we'll look into that tomorrow.
A couple more things. In January, the Bath trustees turned down Sheets and Roadhouse from rezoning their property there at
Where the Holiday Inn is.
where, yeah, you know where I'm talking about.
Springside.
I know Sheets has been inquiring about properties in some areas that are not currently zoned appropriately in our township.
Mhm.
And I'm not advocating that we change any zoning, but it sure would be nice if we could find a place for them in our township.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of the properties that have potentially been an option for them have been access issues. They're really adamant about direct access to 18.
Well, I'm thinking about where Arby's was supposed to go in.
Mhm.
I just wonder if there's not opportunities here that we can present them that maybe they don't know about. So I'm asking you again, Loudon, rather than wait for the developers to come to you, can you reach out to them in this case?
Absolutely. Yeah, we had the realtor contact that worked with us on the previous site in the township, so we'll follow up and let them know about certain properties that we have in that area that might
Okay.
be.
I did not hear, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No,
I
it
did not see they
did,
turned it
yeah,
down.
yeah.
So, and that's their opinion, that, I also in the resolution, when they turned it down, they gave Copley a knock about our hotels. Bath Township trustees did. So that was very nice of them to turn it down. So I don't feel bad about stealing their business from them when they knocked us down. We also talked about EDG and some grants, and it is grant season. And I want to monetize the $100,000 we spent on our capital planning with EDG. So I'm curious, have you identified any grants for pathways or anything else that your department's going to start to apply for right now? Because it is grant season right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the most appropriate will probably be through ODNR, which opens up in March for some of the trails. So I'm anticipating getting the funding matrix provided by EDG, which will indicate the best ways to fund the projects that they're going to propose in the capital improvement plan. So the trail funding is going to be through ODNR, potentially through the TAP program, which is the Transportation Alternative Program through ODOT. So we'll look at both of those. Unrelated to necessarily trails will also be sidewalks. So we met with County Engineer's Office. We'll also be trying to pursue again this year the Montrose sidewalks through AMATS as well. So a couple different avenues. This is what they do on a regular basis, so I'm hoping EDG can point us at least in a few other directions for the trail development. I think there was a couple other ones that we were talking about.
CDBG for some.
Yeah, CDBG, we have the
playground.
township seminar provided some additional information, Greenworks and other ones. Internal, so as we've talked about the Tri-State Petroleum Highlander property, there's a resource and a fund that does trails that are solely within parks and connectivity.
Okay.
So not necessarily on-road trails. So there'll be some resources to that we'll be looking at. So definitely on my radar. We'll be targeting, like I said, probably something in the March timeline for the ODNR grant.
Thank you. One last question. Sure. Sorry, I'm loaded up for you
No,
tonight.
it's all good.
We had an email exchange about how Summit County increased their capital budget dramatically thanks to the CARES Act and how they funded a bunch of money for sewer. We had a standing project for a pump station down in Copper Road in 21 for our sewer that they tabled. They got extra CARES Act money. Is our existing project still tabled? Have you reached out to them and said, what the heck?
Yeah, I wish I had an answer today, but I did email their director at the Department of Sanitary Sewers this week. I referenced the budget information that came out about the county and the capital improvement in kind of a comical manner. Hoped it was for sanitary, so I'm waiting to hear back from him. Asked him if there was any development, specifically, as you mentioned, to those funds being related to the capital improvement or to the pump station, because my indications when I came to this position were that project was slated for approval. So it was very much on their radar. So I'm waiting to hear back from that. Obviously, EDG did some work with us with this, sanitary sewer capital planning that may help, address some of their questions that they had. So waiting to hear back. I'll update the board as soon as I get a response.
Thanks, Lon.
When you have that discussion, if you have not already done so, would you please bring up the 2006 IOU agreement that the county had with Akron, where the Akron owes them 6.4 million in sewer extension or sewer purchases, and ask them where that money is going as well. That's part of our citizens funds as well.
Yeah.
That's a 2000. It's now a 15-year-old IOU that the county has not collected on.
Yeah, absolutely. We spoke a few times with them about that, and they're aware of it. And I believe the last conversation they had was with the city of Akron about that, and it was pre-COVID. So unfortunately, those conversations, at least they've indicated to us, have been stalled since then. But we're happy to revisit that as well, hopefully with some of these regulations.
Sometimes we have to remind them that COVID is not transferable through a phone.
Right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lon.
All right, thank you.
All right, back to the agenda. Any old business?
Yeah. Sorry.
Good.
Bruce, may I speak?
Mr. Schulte has the floor right now, as soon as he's done.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
The vacant lot south of Town Hall and Old Station number 2. That's real old business, isn't it?
It is.
As we are looking at maybe changing how the CIC gets funded in order to fund sewers, seems to me that we have vacant land that has some value to it that might be very appropriate to seed the CIC with so that they can make their own hay.
Mm-hmm.
So on Station 2, I know there was an issue of whether or not it was worth terminating Bass ownership percentage in that for the $50,000 that they offered or not. I guess I'm advocating that we go back to them and we negotiate a reduced price to get full ownership and contribute to our CIC.
Yeah, I have no issue with that. Matter of fact, before your election, we did have some discussion about numerous properties going to the CIC. I think Mr. Klein resurrected that.
We went through a list.
Yeah, we had a list. It was accepted by the CIC. I don't recall if the township property south of the town hall was included in that.
No.
However, I would be an advocate for revisiting that list and updating it.
Yeah, everything's on the table.
Yeah.
We've gone through numerous discussions with CIC and the properties in conjunction or not in conjunction. So that's ongoing. And like you said, different players each time.
Right, and I'm hearing the priority for securing debt, and the general fund is really strapped. So we have the only real discretionary funds is really the jet income tax of about $430,000 roughly per year. Currently, we give $225,000 of that to the CIC so they can, as Mr. Schulte termed, is make hay. They can do the same thing with property that would be difficult for us to sell, but would be much easier for them to sell. So I would advise the CIC that at some point we may have to stop that. My priority is to get the sewer and economic development going. If it costs all that $430,000 a year to do it, we would not have the funds to give CIC any longer. That's my personal opinion. But I would be a proponent to give away properties that we own, because it is more lucrative for them to sell than it is for a township, a government entity. So that's my It's my opinion there.
Should we do any actual motions here regarding, for example, Station 2, the former Station 2, and negotiating with that?
I think,
Or would you rather talk about that in executive session?
I would rather have Ms. Marshall and Mr. Klein get some information on what they think we could do with it, what it would be worth, and then
We
come
were
back.
pretty far along last time.
We were pretty far along.
Yeah,
It
I think-
just fell off.
I think
don't
as
know why.
far as the CIC goes, we are in the process of getting from our legal counsel the designation agreement that we need to have in place, but between the township and the CIC. While we're waiting for that, I think we could concurrently look at the appraisals that we received on that property. There were multiple questions that had been raised when we were all looking at that, and so we need to circle back probably and think about those issues and bring that up.
It was before COVID. I think COVID actually distracted us.
Yeah, surely. And I think we also, once we get that designation agreement in place, can move fairly quickly on getting the properties donated to the CIC and get that moving. And that probably would be a great project for the CIC to look at while we're putting the sewer in and looking at all those other things. So
Okay.
I think we can do it concurrently, and we'll bring up the property. We also had talked with the neighborhood behind us about these vacant properties, and that was right before COVID as well. So,
Right.
Yeah, there's only 50 ideas that they have.
yeah.
Well, right, and I
We
know-
can resurrect some of
So-
those.
And some of those ideas are really beyond the scope of what the township can appropriately do, especially if we're committing our only investable funds to sewer.
Right.
So therefore, let's use that land as the capital that the CIC needs.
Yeah, we
Okay.
can bring that back up, and you weren't around at that time, so we'll fill
We've
you all
done it,
in on
yeah.
all of those things.
Few properties that way.
Okay. And any other, Ms. Piper, you asked to have the floor. Anything else?
I'm sorry, I'm out.
Okay.
Is it
Ms.
old,
Piper?
well, a question, is it old business?
Thank you, Bruce.
I
On
request,
behalf of transparency,
Hang on.
let me request the chair.
Okay.
This is old business.
Is this old business, ma'am?
yeah, it is.
Okay, you have the floor.
Oh, thank you. On behalf of transparency, I would like to make a motion to place all virtual meetings by date on my fiscal page that is linked to YouTube so people can see the meetings. I just think this is really important for them to see all the meetings.
You were making a motion to do so, ma'am?
She can't.
Yes,
You're requesting a motion.
You're requesting a motion or making a motion?
well, I'm requesting a motion to get these meetings on my webpage. I didn't realize they needed board approval to do it. It can be done. So are you going to allow me to do it?
Well, I'm waiting for a motion.
So move, Schulte.
Second, Dressler.
Okay.
Why can't she?
Any discussion?
It's public record. Why can't
Yeah,
she
it's
do it?
public information. I think you're welcome to put anything on. I don't know that you need our permission.
Well, I
Okay.
was told I needed your permission. Maybe that was wrong, but I just wanted to clear it with you that I would like to have this on my fiscal page.
That's public information. The recording of this session is public information, so you don't need our approval to do so.
I will go ahead and authorize Sue to go ahead and get them on then. Thank you so much.
Authorize who, ma'am?
Sumac,
Does she run your fiscal office page?
well, yeah, she's in charge of the total township. The webmaster, I guess, is what she called. I don't know what she's called. But that's who I worked with to make sure that this could happen.
Okay.
And we checked it out and it can.
Okay, any business you have with Board of Trustee employees, please run those through Ms. Marshall.
Okay,
Thank you.
fine.
Any new business?
Do you want to vote on that or it just?
No, I don't, I
need a
think
vote?
we don't need a vote. It doesn't require. Any correspondence? Okay, we can't take business from the floor due to our virtual situation. So I will make a motion that we go into executive session for pending legal action, employment in administration, employment in the fire department, discussion for benefits of all personnel,
Service.
Just one of service, yeah. Discussion of hiring in the service department, and I think that is all. Is that
The
accurate?
one about the legal issues on, Jed?
Yeah, that's here.
Okay.
So I make the motion.
Second.
Mr. Dressler seconds. Any discussion? Okay, I move to go on, I'm sorry, call the roll. I'm sorry. Ms. Pfeiffer, you call the roll, please.
Trustee Dressler,
Yes.
trustee Calder,
Yes.
and trustee Schulte.
Yes.
Thank you.
We're now in executive session.
Look everybody on. You can click them off on, you gotta click them off on yours. And then someone has to monitor that and make sure no one logs back in.